Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, a very warm welcome to Quickbooks Labs. Today is Quickbooks Labs, a monthly podcast designed to be the place to learn all about the world of QuickBooks Online and other accounting software. On the first Monday? There's not Monday, is it? Wednesday. On the first Wednesday of each month, we hang around these microphones to talk all about all the latest news, tips, and tricks for QuickBooks Online, and we have a cracker in store for you today. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Patrick, a chartered accountant, owner of an accounting firm called Boffix, a QuickBooks certified trainer with a fancy logo. I've just put the wrong one up, so the fancy logo there, same as Ash, and a QuickBooks, or the Quickbooks chap on YouTube. And join me, my co-host, the one and only Ash. How's it going, Ash?
Fantastic, thanks, Aaron. Yes, it's me, Ash Beetson, QuickBooks trainer like Aaron with the fancy logo as well. And in addition to that, app developer, jack of all trades, really, author, book on the way. What else can I say?
Yeah, can't wait for that book. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not long, is it? No. Perfect Christmas stocking filler, I've heard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So get your orders in now. Today we have a cracker installed for you, but first let's figure out how all this works. So this is the new format, as we said before. We are now monthly, not weekly or bi-weekly, I think it was before. First Wednesday of every single month. And that's when we go live to the world at the regular time of 4:30 p.m. UK time, 10:30 a.m. US Central Time. So if you're listening to this back at a later time, why not think about joining us live? And that way you can get involved with the show and ask us anything you like in that chat box. We are here to answer your questions. Just like we've got from Chariot Accountant saying, evening, lad. So hello and thank you for joining us live. That way keep us honest and keep us ready to keep those burning questions answered. Furthermore, we are now live on the podcasting serving choice around the globe. So feel free to subscribe on your podcasting service of choice. Ash, what is the agenda for today's show?
Well, we've got quite a bit to cover, haven't we, Aaron? So we've got a little bit of a battle between Tax Filer and KPM accounting software. So I'm in the Tax Filer corner. Aaron's covering KPM. But before we go and take a look at that, we've got a little bit of news to cover. So there's some updates on the receipt capture on the mobile app. There's a little bit of news with regards to QuickBooks Desktop. There's Excel integrations in QBO, MTD being delayed, Go proposal being purchased by Sage, and some other options within Accountancy Manager. And Aaron, unfortunately, you're covering most of that, if not all of that news, and I should just chip in as when I need to.
Sounds good to me. Okay, then. So I think the most important bit for us to talk about is going to be about this whole new update, should I say, on the mobile app itself. Just bear with me 20 seconds while I try and make sure it's now coming through to work. Share screen should be working now. And what I want to do is I want to show you on screen the actual changes themselves. So as always, it was working as intended. Unfortunately, now it's gone to sleep on me. Come on. Right, perfect. All right, okay. So what I want to do is show you is this new element that's come into play. So if I share my screen, bringing it in now, and go to QuickBooks. Share that one and bring that. Take away that screen. There we are. Perfect. So hopefully once I've done my Face ID, you can see exactly what's coming on here. And what you'll notice is a couple of slight changes to the mobile app. First one is one I find really, really useful, actually. Down the bottom here, you now have this profitability show here. So as you can see, it says, see how much you've made after expenses. So it's telling you how much income. A nice little breakdown there of what that was as well. So up 412% in this case, and expenses down 19% as well, giving you a nice little graphical layout showing you what's happened here. And what I do like as well is 32 unreviewed. So it's telling you straight away that you have some transactions, some elements there that you need to make the most of, or at least look at, because there's an opportunity for you to come in and bring that into play. Also, as you scroll down at the very bottom there, it's a little asterisk saying QuickBooks does not include tax preparation services or assistance. So a nice little disclaimer there letting you know. Now, I don't know if it's just with this particular one, but I've lost the ability to see my bank balances at this point in time. I'm sure it's just something that will get fixed sooner rather than later, but it is something that's there. You'll also on the screen as well let you know how many of those receipts have still got to be snapped and still got to be sorted, because the big update that's come through is the snap receipt functionality now takes it all the way from start to finish. So if you've kind of seen us do this demo before, you know that normally when you do a snap receipt, so just to kind of go through and show you what I mean by snap receipt. So we grab ourselves a receipt, nice complex one like we've got here. We make sure that it's all nice and folded. We press snap receipt button. We take a photo of it. And if like magic, that's as much as we need to do. From here, we can edit that photo if we need to, but I'm just going to say use photo. And now it's in the background, going to upload that photo for me, bring that information in, extract the fact it says Costco, extract the fact that there was £145.38 in this case, extract the fact that there was other elements to it. And as you can see there, that first one there is telling me that there was £143.79 have been taken out, and it's going to find all the elements. It's going to find there was £1.59 taxes and go from there. And the big part is from now, from this screen, from the mobile, we can take it all the way to post that transaction. Whereas before, all we could do was view these elements here. We can now actually go through and find them. And if it's already found a transaction, it's going to find, like we have there on the Yo Sushi, that it's matched. But if you don't have a transaction like the one we've just done here, we can go through, we can say what type of document it is, we can say what the amount was. At this point, it's not realized it's 20%, so we're going to have to tell it it's 20%, but the rest of it's been able to find because it wasn't split. It's now taken that over, but that's just because I did a bad example. Just split it first. But it can go through, and all the only other thing it needs to know is what's been paid, where it's been paid from. Once I've done that, and now you do have the ability to split as well, so that's really useful. Once I've done that, I can press save receipt, save that receipt, and now it's going to add it directly to QuickBooks for me. In this case, it's not found a matching transaction, so it's going to create an expense for that receipt. That's absolutely fine. I'm happy with that. Let's press create. Creates that expense, put it into QuickBooks for me as I go forward. But as an example, though, if the transaction was already in there, it will see that it's matched that transaction, and you could go in and match it. And I believe, yeah, you can go in and then just press match, and it will match that way. Nice and straightforward. But yeah, I think this is a really small update to QuickBooks mobile app, but I think it's a really, really significant one. What about you, Ash?
Yeah, definitely, because it always seemed a bit of a bind, if you like, from the small business owner's point of view. If you've just taken a picture, and a lot of little small businesses are starting to rely more and more on their mobile phone. If they think, I've taken that receipt, now I've got to go, open my laptop at some point to say that it was for fuel, or it's for this, or it's for that. To be able to just, literally point it in the direction where it wants to go. It's fantastic. A good point from Chariot Accountants about, I think, with regards to machine learning, I don't think unlike the banking area where QuickBooks tends to start remembering stuff quite a lot. Yes. I don't think it's actually remembering a lot of stuff yet.
No,
but I think it will. I think it will come. But even without that, sometimes it's not always such a bad thing to sort of properly review what you're posting and point in the right direction.
Yeah,
and that split function as well. So I mean, being able to say, well, some of it is for the business, and adjusting some of it to drawings or whatever it is, so you can split it on entry.
Well, that's great. There now, so that came with the update.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that there is great.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a priority that was worthwhile going down, wasn't it, to get that split functionality there. I think for me, because I'm obviously still invested in using Dex and auto entry and receipt capture for all my different clients, but I do really still tend to go for QuickBooks especially for clients who are not that tech savvy. It's the perfect solution for them because they don't have to install or set up a new piece of software. So that's always a benefit. One less app for them to have on their phone, if you like. But the big benefit for me is that, and I don't know if you've seen it kind of working as intended yet, but it's that idea that you can just take photos, they'll sit in that receipt capture area, and then when that transaction appears in your bank, because that tight integration, which we don't get with auto entry or Dex, that transaction says, oh, we've got that for you. We've got that receipt for you in the receipt capture area. It's this one, and this is what you've bought. And that's really, really, because the amount of times clients go down the list of what's on their bank and they're like, oh, what did I buy from there? What did I do from that? And the fact that it appears for them and shows it them, I think that to me is where it's kind of the game changer for me. What about you?
Yeah, I know, absolutely. I agree with you on that one, because even if, like you say, you've taken the picture, but you've not even bothered to code it, at some point you're going to have to bring your bank up to date and get it reconciled. And that's sort of helping you arm in arm, saying, well, and like you say, and it happens all the time. People buy something, or they go out for dinner or whatever it is, and they can't remember what that cost was. But QuickBooks going, oh, hang on a minute, I've got that receipt just to remind you what it was all for. So you just click on the link, you go, oh yeah, that's what it's for, and you're sort of being aided, aren't you, to help where you want to code it to. Yeah,
definitely. And I think as well, like the potential for what they could do with receipt capture, because the fact at first I was a bit confused why they're sticking to the bank area. It doesn't make sense. Like, why not, its own little area or whatever the solution was going to be. But the potential going forward, I think, of the ability of going, right, well, what about if we introduce rules? What about if we introduce, that could be really powerful, couldn't it? The fact that they could start going down that sort of route of bringing rules into place and stuff like that. And I think then we've got a real automated system that I think could be quite powerful.
Yeah, I wrote like a rule with your receipt.
Yeah. So if you receive one from BP, for example, do this.
Yeah. If you always get your fuel from BP or wherever, I'm sure other good petrol stations are available. If you can get any petrol, I should have put that in it as well, just in case you can't. It's a very good point.
Brilliant, fantastic.
Also, another valid point there from Chariot Accountants about with your when you are coding those costs on a receipt, limit it to cost of sales or expenses. It's a valid point, because how often do you need to code a receipt to an income category? Well, you shouldn't really. You might need to buy some fixed asset equipment. So you buy your computer and you want to take a picture of that. So I suppose it's quite difficult, actually. So I can see from a programmer's point of view, you obviously put those ideas, you've got the feedback option within Quickbooks to give that sort of feedback. But sometimes it's not always that easy, and also different regions and different countries can have different terminology for some of the different names, which I think that just causes a headache for everybody. Anyway, going off on a slightly different direction.
No, it is right there as well, because we know from first experience as well that those feedback forms do get looked at and do get considered, don't they? So yeah, definitely throw that feedback into place. What's the next topic we're covering?
So the next one we've got is desktop subscriptions.
Yeah, now this could be a very big change. I don't know if it's going to affect us in the UK as much. I think, a lot of the people who are on QuickBooks Desktop. So what's happening here is the QuickBooks Desktop model. So at the moment it was by per upgrade, wasn't it? You bought for whatever year you wanted to keep on, and that was a one-time purchase, wasn't it? That's how it used to be.
Yeah, pretty much. So I used to be a heavy QuickBooks Desktop user, and you could pay for your annual license, or you could basically buy the CD off the shelf if you like, pop it on your computer, and there you go. You've got it. You could use it. So
and you were stuck to that version there, weren't you? You couldn't get upgrades. That was the deal, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, some people, and some people used to, use one version for years and years and years and years and years. I can remember, in sort of 2016, helping someone that was still using QuickBooks 2008 because they didn't want to upgrade, and it might have even been older than that. It was ridiculously old.
Wow.
The version that they were using.
But they were happy and it was working for them. So at the time,
yeah, because it was simple, but it just, when it came to an accountant, then sort of taking a backup, you take a backup from like QuickBooks 2006, and you're using QuickBooks 2000 and whatever, that they don't always talk to each other nicely. So it's just a nightmare. Anyway.
So what they've moved to change is the fact that the desktop model will now be moving to a subscription-based payment method only, which kind of pushes them again back to the idea that really shouldn't they, or for someone who is still on desktop, what kind of benefits have they still got from staying on desktop now? Then, what do you think?
I think for a few. So, as we said, it's really going to affect the US and Canada more because they've been heavy desktop users for years and years and years. So there'll be a few that will start thinking, well, if I've got to pay monthly, I might as well go over to QuickBooks Online. Yeah. There are some that are just, when I've read in different forums that are just, they're anti QuickBooks Online. They just don't want to move. They're just used to their desktop. And they don't want to, change from that. And fair, that's their preference, I guess. There are instances where the desktop version has a little bit more, but from my experience, it was only really with stock inventory. There was that whole say like a proper sales order process. I mean, you can work around it a little bit with QuickBooks Online, changing an estimate into a, wording it sales order. But in desktop, you have got it, builds and everything. So that's what some people sort of really, especially
that makes sense.
Yeah, the enterprise version. Now, they actually discontinued Enterprise in the UK a few years ago, but they still use QuickBooks Enterprise in the States.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, I suppose for them that is quite a big change. But they haven't said how much the subscription's going to be. But I assume that the fact that they're bringing in the subscription is because really they want to promote the move over to online, isn't it? It's because it'd be ideal for them if everyone was on the QuickBooks Online platform for the subscription basis, wouldn't it? So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but we'll keep an eye on that one. I think that could be an interesting story that will develop going forward. But at the moment, it's 2022 and onwards. There's not that much time, is there, for people to make that move if they are thinking about moving?
Yeah, no, it comes around quick.
It does. Speaking of 2022, the next bit of news, and I'm really excited about this one, is the fact that QuickBooks Advance, so at the moment QuickBooks Advance QuickBooks Online Advance is only in the USA at this point in time, but we are hoping to see it over here sooner rather than later. But one of the features that is coming to the QuickBooks Online Advance feature is a deep integration with Microsoft Excel. And I can really see the benefit of this one. So the idea would be that it would be a two-way integration. The idea that, you would download maybe a copy of, a supplier's, expenses and bills copy and bring that into Excel. You could then make the adjustments on there and then integrate and push the data backwards. That could be really, really useful. And it's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment with either a software called GARCOM, I think, or GACOM it's called, for Google Sheets. So we have it so it syncs up and brings that data in. And there was Microsoft Excel I forget the name of the app. I don't know if you remember, Ash, but there's an app on the App Store, isn't there, where you can pretty much replicate that idea where it brings all the data into Excel. You can manipulate the data in Excel, and then you can feed it back into QuickBooks Online.
What,
The
Excel?
Sassant, that's it. Yeah.
Import and
Yeah.
delete. Yeah.
Yeah. Sassant import export to Boolean. Yeah. So that is for me, that's a really powerful solution. I think it was coming directly integrated in QuickBooks. It's a shame it's only come to the advanced section, to be honest, but we'll take what we can get, can't we? And I think that's going to be a nice little feature, and start bringing that advanced QuickBooks Advance to that idea that actually I can see a place for it now. I'm starting to picture for the UK market where that could be.
Yeah.
So yeah,
some of the larger businesses.
Yeah. They've got some really great little integrations there with MailChimp and all sorts that are there, and DocuSign and things like that. So QuickBooks Advance definitely is starting to see some benefits for us. The next bit of news, can you see it there?
Making Tax Digital has been delayed.
Yeah, we got to all cry a little tear for this one. Although I suppose a lot of people are actually happy about this one. I think it might just be myself and maybe Jan as well, I can see. I think he's in the chat, isn't he? Yeah. I think we were two pushers of making tax digital for good, and how we think it's going to benefit people and how we can kind of see going forward what the benefit's going to be. But unfortunately, it has been delayed by a year. And I think the interesting thing I saw about this was the fact that what I found was interesting was the fact that there's actually kind of a lot of the software developers out there actually utilizing the time. They're going to be tweaking their systems. They're going to make it so their system is going to be opportunity there to kind of improve what the platforms are going to do, and improve of what their MTD implementation is going to be. So from that point of view, possibly a good sign, possibly a good thing for us. But from your point of view, Ash, I know, and Jan's even said that he's gutted. But from your point of view, Ash, what do you think to it? What's your opinion on making tax digital being delayed, good or bad?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it's a bad thing as a NAP developer, because my focus, or my original reasoning for sort of creating NetTracker was to help people make sure their accounts are up to date constantly all the way through the year, and then that leads on to because when it comes to do the accounts at the end of the year, accounting entries, there should be minimal.
Yes,
there shouldn't be anything to do when if you're regularly doing the bookkeeping. When it comes to do the accounts, it should be just to basically make sure that things are in the right boxes, pretty much. So you might need, if someone's put something as an expense and it should have been an asset, or vice versa, you need to tweak it, that sort of thing. But actually recording stuff, it should always be fully up to date, and that's I've always thought that, for years and years and years. So now it's, people are now thinking, oh, I haven't got really bothered too much about that, now for another year, and it might be another 18 months, 2 years or whatever, because, things get delayed and then they get delayed again, like it was with VAT. But so from our point of view, it's a bad thing, because people are, they're not going to sort of worry too much about investing in software, whether it's us, whether it's QuickBooks, Sage, Xero. They can say, breathe a sigh of relief. But ultimately, and it'll be exactly the same as what it was for the VAT stuff. Those people that are breathing the sigh of relief will be, I was going to have to say it in a polite way, they'll be catching their pants in 2 years' time because they've left it. Because there'll be a thing in the post that says, oh, don't forget you need to submit your Making Tax Digital tax return next month. And then all of a sudden people will start panicking, they haven't done this, they haven't done that. So I do hope that with it being postponed, people just don't think, oh, I don't need to worry about it for 2 years.
Yeah.
That they start taking some action now. Think, okay, well, let me start building some processes that will, in 2 years' time, basically alleviate a lot of the time. Because as I chatted to somebody last week, and you'd said exactly the same thing. So although we're going to be automating some tax returns, it's going to be five tax returns possibly to be submitted. You four into one to the final one. So all of that, although it could be literally a button press, at the end of the day, it's still going to take up some additional time. And that additional time that you're going to have to, take, doing additional tax returns, hopefully get all the data in, you're going to have to think of ways of, how can I save some time when it comes to preparing the accounts?
Exactly.
Using multiple apps at the end of the day. Anyway, I'm preaching to the converted, but you know where I'm coming from.
Definitely. No, I completely agree. And there are going to be benefits from pushing MTD, and it is going to be something that we're going to see it. And hopefully with the delay, that means that we will get, fingers crossed, that we all want. And that's the fact that the periods are going to change and going to be more aligned to something that makes more sense. So let's get rid of 5th of April. Let's move to our 31st of March or even 31st December, whatever gets decided. But that's the only advantage I can see of delaying it. For me, I think it's just a case of, there's so much great future ahead of us. Like when you think about the idea of things like blockchain and all that sort of stuff, which can grow on the fact that Making Tax Digital's there, and the ability that, this dystopia world that will happen one day where you send an invoice to a business and that transaction just automatically gets recorded on their books, their end. For us to get there, we need MTD. We need those steps to start first. So, let's hope that the future of what we expect and what we want it to be doesn't get delayed as well. So that's how I see it. Great point there, or a nice little insight here. So one of the news topics we haven't said today is the fact that MTD MailChimp hasn't or has been officially acquired now, hasn't it? It's all done and dusted. It is now an Intuit, part of the Intuit family. And a great little insight here from Charity Account says they tried the MailChimp beta last week, and it actually pulls invoices and cost analysis, not just clients and customers, into the software as well. And what I saw as well was the fact that at least they're trying to sell to the UK, that the MailChimp MailChimp acquisition is also going to be a great MTD opportunity for us as well, because they see it as an opportunity for us to be able to talk to our clients, get them all up to date, get them bringing nicely, giving them a chance to be able to get the deadline chasing, workload, that sort of stuff in place. And if that's what they're going to be utilizing that software for, from a practice manager point, from a practice accountant point of view, that is absolutely brilliant. They've got some really great ideas, I think, that they're bringing into what the MailChimp analytics can do for QuickBooks. I think it's the MailChimp for me is that ability to start making a lot of the different acquisitions that they've just done, like T-Sheets and e-commerce and OneSAS and TradeGecko and all those integrations, start actually talking to one another and get those analytics between them going through nicely. So I think it's going to be a great spot. But that's a great shout there about the fact that the fact it pulls not just the cost analytics, but also information as well. So that's great news. What was our next piece of news there?
Go Proposal has been acquired by Sage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we need to say about this. No. So Sage has gone through and done their recent acquisition, and they've taken Go Proposal. It definitely came out of the blue. I was not expecting for this one. I think from Sage's point of view, they are still on the back foot a little bit, aren't they? So I think they needed to make some form of investment, some sort of way of trying to catch up. And obviously their view is that if they get the Go Proposal software and everything else going through, then they'll be able to bring it from there. But yes, I have stopped using Go Proposal as of yesterday, so I'm now looking for alternatives on the market and see what else is out there. So what do you think to that news, Ash? Is that something you would you have expected them to go for Go Proposal? Or,
I've got to say, to be perfectly honest, it doesn't affect me because I'm not really an accountant in practice anymore. But I'm not surprised, and I think it's from Sage's point of view, it's a very sensible move.
It's cute, isn't it? Yeah.
And they would be the first, I think, to basically agree that they know that they are slightly behind with their other two, but I think they are slowly making sort of strides to sort of catch up. And this is one way. They're sort of quietly building stuff in the background, with regards to their accountant platform.
Yeah,
they do have a very loyal accountant base that were from the desktop times. So this is going to really assist those accountants. So it's interesting. Definitely, it definitely makes it makes it an interesting race, as I saw on one of the forums. Because obviously everyone, there's sort of, you've got really sort of three main players, haven't you?
Yeah.
As such, I mean, QuickBooks, Sage, Xero. Obviously got Free Agent and a few others, but really there's always been the three main ones that I always think of.
Yeah, and I think, like, from Sage's point of view, one thing that definitely going well for them is the fact that the auto entry acquisition hasn't been too bad, really. I mean, I know a lot of people were kind of skeptical of that, but I think that's been absolutely fine. It's kind of been left to do what it needs to do. Their integration with QuickBooks and Xero is still absolutely fine. They work as intended. It still does what it needs to do. And I think, when you look at who could have taken it, like, it could have been Iris. If it was that would be a whole different story, wouldn't it? And I think there'll be a lot more problems and a lot more issues that people could have faced. So I think it's good that it's that it's someone like Sage, because I think they will hopefully elevate the platform and push it forward, and I think it'll need it. But for me personally, the QuickBooks integration with Go Cardless wasn't working as I need it to anyway, and I just thought that I was struggling to get that integration to where I need it to be. And I thought, well, if they're acquired by Sage, I can't imagine that's going to be a priority to make sure it talks to QuickBooks anymore, in a better way or anything. So that's kind of the reason I went down that route. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and fingers crossed with the acquisition that they do. And I think it was you that was saying that Sage actually has a really good like practice management-esque area, don't they? Anyway, so this probably works well in that. I think their practice manager area is actually really strong, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I got sort of slightly distracted when I was looking through the chats, but I agree with you, Aaron.
Yeah. So I think that's going through from there. Awesome. And then one quick one that kind of breaking news yesterday, and I'm hoping to be involved in the beta as soon as possible, is our friends at Accountancy Manager. So just also a side note, if you do see the Accountancy Manager, I was one of the case studies this month, so do have a read of that one. But with Accountancy Manager, they are looking in their roadmap to look at filing confirmation statements. So I'm really excited how that goes to play. When we go and do our in a moment, we're going to do our battle of accountancy production software. The software I choose is what we currently use to submit our confirmation statement. And they do it fine. It's great. It's whatever, but there is definitely ways and improvements. And I think if Accountancy Manager does this right, they could have a really slick way of dealing with confirmation statements, because confirmation statements to me are always that one area where it takes too much time for what it is, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to confirm what's on Companies House is correct. That's what the confirmation statement should be about. And having to maybe download a checklist or download some data and make sure that data is correct, to then get someone to sign it, to then submit it, and everything else. If correct, I think Accounting Manager could make a really slick way in which the confirmation statements can be submitted. So that is definitely something I'll keep everyone in the loop on, because I think that should be exciting. And it is something I'm looking to do a video on. So keep an eye on the channel for more news on confirmation statements by Accountancy Manager.
It's that
Ash,
time, isn't it?
It is. It's the battle.
Yeah.
It's the fight. So just to give everyone some indication of how we're going to run this, and this is something we're going to start doing on a semi-regular basis, maybe once every couple of months, something like that. We're going to basically have a little task between me and Ash, where we're going to have a little fight out between two competing pieces of software. So this first one is 6 rounds of fighting between accounts production solution. I'll let Ash introduce who he's gone for, but I'm going for Capium, and I'm going to, or Capium as some people call it, and we're going to show you 2 pieces of accounts production software, and we're going to go through the following round. We're going to go first impressions, so what we first felt of it. 6 years ago, I found out was when one of us was first using this piece of software. So what our first impressions was back then, or at least kind of what it is now, or what if you kind of first came in. Your ease of use, how easy you found it to actually use, how well it integrates with QuickBooks Online, your favorite feature, the support that you get and have been receiving since you've been using it, and the price point as well. And the idea then is at the very end, we will declare a particular winner out of those 6 rounds and go from there. So, Ash, I'm going to let you kick off first of all with your software of choice and give us all a bit of a first impression on what you think to your software.
All right. Okay. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
There we go.
It is.
All right, so I am using TaxFiler, and as Aaron said, I think I've been using it for nearly 6 years. Crazy. I must be, I don't know what my customer reference is, but it must be down quite low. As soon as you log in to TaxFiler, this is the screen that you land on. Have you ever used TaxFiler, Aaron?
I have, yeah. So I had a little play around with it when I was deciding which one to go for back in the day. But I think it's, it seems very similar, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So you basically, you land on this screen and you will have a list of, I've sort of basically shaded these out, my recently viewed cases. You would choose, what company, what sort of accounting year you're looking at. I'm just looking at all years there. And then you've got this little pie chart of what's been accepted, what's cancelled. And if you were to click in those segments, you would, get a filtered list of, what's been cancelled, rejected, etc. So it's not overly fancy, but, that's what you get pretty much when you log in. It's simple, it's fairly clean, and then you've got your sort of menus at the top of when you want to go to a list of returns, accounts, and a list of clients. So if we're just going to start there with just sort of first impressions.
Nice.
What do you think?
Yeah, and it's like when I first looked at it, I think it's function over form, isn't it? Which is what you really need, isn't it? It's like, yes, it's not the most prettiest of UIs in the world, and there's probably, maybe room for improvement here and there or anything. But for what you need for a accounts production software, actually, you probably want it to be a little bit more, kind of that sort of view, because at least then you get that little bit more confidence in it, don't you? You're kind of thinking to yourself, actually, and this looks like it, it's like the old-fashioned software that you've got, isn't it? Like your Iris and all that lot. Very much they've got that standard template to it. So I think it looks absolutely how it needs to look. All
right. Shall I just pause it there and let you do your?
Yeah. Let me bring in my red corner, so that you had the blue corner. I've got the red corner that's coming through. So yeah, this one here then is Capium or Capium. I never actually figured out. I should really have asked him beforehand about what it's called. But when you log into Capium or Capium, you log in and it looks like this screen that's just here. Now, the idea of this screen or what this screen is it's not just giving you the accounts production software, which is what we're going to be focusing today on, but you do have this whole manner of other elements as well. And very much like the screen that you've just done there, you can bring up kind of more of a practice view, a practice element to it. But when you go into the different modules, it will then take you to that module. And as you go into it, you can see what's going on in a particular client, or you can see kind of that view that you've got there. So I think aesthetically, I think they're very similar in terms of that kind of traditional kind of accounts production look, isn't it? So yeah, I think from first impressions, for me though, the honest truth about how I felt with Capium from day one or at the beginning was I was completely overwhelmed with it, and that's because it's not just got that accounts production; it's got the ability to do payroll, bookkeeping, company tax, personal tax. It's got all of the functions you'll need, and including the practice management section as well. So for me, my first impressions was I was overwhelmed with it at first, but once you kind of start dealing with those individual modules, actually became really, really user-friendly from there. So, okay, do you want to jump in your end then, round one? Because we'll mark them at the end about which one do you think's kind of winning or losing. We'll do a proper boxing match at the end and try and go through what we go through. So what was your ease of use like there then, Ash?
So ease of use, I'll just pat back. So I've got a couple on...
no worries.
Let me back to sharing my screen. So ease of use, very, very easy, really. And to be honest, I'm just trying to think: have I needed any training on Tax Filer? No, is my answer. Absolute zero training I've had on it. Now I'm one of these people that will spend a bit of time trying to work things out. But if you've used any type of accounts production software, so in my olden days, if you like, I used to work for a medium-sized accountancy practice, and they used to have Iris.
Iris, yeah.
Obviously now Tax Filer is purchased or part of. But if you'd used Iris, which I had there, then this was easy, basically. And so when it came to like creating a client, so this is basically your client creation screen. You're basically putting in what type of client is it a company, is it an individual? Other than the rest of the boxes, it just makes sense. It's not difficult at all. So when it comes to setting up a client, very, very easy. And there's also, and I only noticed it earlier on, import client from. You could import client from your accounting software, QuickBooks or whatever you're using. You can bring the name and address through from there. I've never needed to use it. I mean, it literally takes seconds to put the stuff in anyway. But no, ease of use, very easy. That's all
I like that.
Very, very easy. So yeah, I shall hand back over to you, Aaron.
I must admit, when I did use Tax Filer, I was shocked at how easy and simple it was to use. So I think the for me, the ease of use on Capium was, again, didn't have to do any training as such. Was able to kind of pick it apart for myself. But I would say that kind of some of the features within there can get a little bit the workflow, should I say, in terms of creating a set of accounts. Once you've done it the first time round and you go forward, absolutely fine, you'll understand it. But that workflow wasn't quite the same as, like you've already said, like Iris. So there was kind of a difference in that workflow. For example, on this left-hand side, you've got your task area here, and it says trial balance, then it's got submit underneath. Well, to me, it was almost like you completed your trial balance, and then you went straight to submit. I mean, where's the rest of the steps in there? But actually, the rest of the steps are below. They're under settings, they're under reports, and then you go back to submit, and you go there. And it was almost like or the workflow was kind of second kind of fiddle to what they wanted to build in. But once you've got your head right and you've got it in the right place, it is really, really easy to use. Just like you've said there in terms of importing data. Well, you can tell it to look at Company's House and bring that data in from Company's House. Nice little features like that, which do make your life easier in terms of getting that data in. It doesn't bring it directly into QuickBooks, though. I'll admit that. So I think that's where Tax Filer does have that step up. I would find that really, really useful, to be honest, because most of the time you've already got your client on your bookkeeping platform. Because most of the time you're going to do the accounts maybe 6 months down the line, a year down the line, maybe even 18 months down the line. So the fact you can bring that data in in terms of the name and everything, I think would be quite useful. But yeah, the ease of use, once you've kind of got your head around that first initial kind of workflow and you've kind of gone through building it all up from there, it is all quite intuitive in terms of where things are laid out and what information's there and what you can find. And I find that the amount of customization you can have on your accounting statement is really, really good, and that's where it has a bit of an advantage on. It's really quick and easy to get those adjustments done there. And then when you have got those reports all generated and nice and all set up for you, then they are really fast and quick to kind of get up and running and ready to go. So yeah, I think ease of use wise, there's room for improvement there in my eyes in terms of the general workflow. But yeah, once you get your head around it, nice and straightforward. Ash, what about your integration with QuickBooks Online?
Okay, so bear with me one momento. I've just got to go into one little different screen, and then I shall share mine back up. All right, so let me just go to share screen. Here we go. So earlier this morning, sharing?
Yeah, I'm just pressing it now.
Oh, right, okay.
There we are, you're in.
Earlier this morning, I've got a dummy QuickBooks company on. I created some accounts for 2019-20, and I've literally just gone in to click on accounts, click new to create a new set of accounts, selected the client, QuickBooks training test, and it's automatically brought up the next year, 1 year on from the last set.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to click create. And then I've got all the usual stuff that I can sort of check, the details, etc., etc. But what I'm really interested in here is the trial balance. So when I click on the trial balance, and I'm just wondering whether it's because I've not fully finalized the 19-20 ones, but I'm just going to click connect and connect to QuickBooks. Thought it might have already just been through, could be because I closed it down. But the connection is very, very good indeed. Just search for my client, which is Small Training for Business on this one. Fetch from QuickBooks Online. So what it's done, it's tried to map what accounts that it can, based upon what it thinks, and then I can just choose very easily. That's going to go to cash and bank and in hand. I'll just put that to director's loan for now. That retained profit balance forward, and I'll just put that whack those to sales just for speed.
Yeah.
And update. And just save the changes. So what I should see.
It populates
fetch the cube. I can fetch the TB for the comparative year. Because my accounts have not been submitted to Companies House and fully finalised. I think that's why I don't have the comparative in there.
Yeah.
Straight, because normally
it's almost dealing it as a first year for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it would normally appear in there. But what I would then do, so all of those values that QuickBooks has basically come through and found. I can click on those. So as I'm reviewing them, I can sort of check, this is what makes up all of my income. I can go in and edit the mappings. So I can make sure that all the stuff that comes through from QuickBooks is used in the right category in Iris. In Tax Filer. When I first used this, like 5 or 6 years ago, it used to be terrible. So you would literally map your categories, and then you could do the accounts the next year, and it'd forget all of the mappings. So you have to map the whole lot again. It was a very tedious and very painful. Now, once you've done it 1 year, the following year, it just remembers perfectly. Everything is in exactly the right box that it needs to be. So when it comes to actually, knocking up a set of accounts, it is a very easy, quick job. Because if you've if the bookkeeping is put, and it should be, if you're a good bookkeeper or accountant, it should be pristine in QuickBooks or Sage or Xero, whatever you happen to be using. So when it comes to actually preparing the accounts, you're just fetching the TB across and you're just making sure that things are in the right box. So the integration between the two, fantastic. And then obviously you can finalize it, view, check and file. So I've got some warnings there on my because things aren't balancing up properly. But just check your draft accounts and it's easy peasy.
So is it a two-way integration then, or is it a one-way?
So there's a two-way integration, although I never use it personally with regards to the corporation tax calculation. So once that's calculated,
I see.
You can throw a journal back into QuickBooks. Usually, I've sometimes estimated the corporation tax anyway, so there's a value. So I'll just look at what the corporation tax is. I will then pop back into QuickBooks, update a journal, and then I'll refresh the link of the TB in here, because then it'll bring it back.
And it will just update it. Yeah,
that's what I would tend to do. So, so the integration for me, fantastic.
Nice.
So stop sharing on that one.
So I think then, if I just showed my integration, I think we got a clear winner on this one. So I think TaxFiler was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think TaxFiler was pretty much built for QuickBooks integration, wasn't it? Because at one point they had this concept of it going into the QuickBooks QBOA and like showing you the tax file status on there. So I think TaxFiler always had the idea of integrating into some form of software, whereas Capium, it was a feature that basically I kept hammering on the door for, and then they finally gave in and provided for us, was integration to other software. So originally it was just a case of manually putting in, or CSV. So originally the way my integration would work was the fact that I would download the CSV file from QuickBooks and then upload it. A little bit tedious, but that's just the way it was. Now, just like you've just shown there, exactly the same kind of process of getting that connection in. So we do have an opportunity to connect into it and bring it in. But I suppose the biggest kind of issue, if you like, of how that connection is going through, it's just not going to go through for me. So I don't need to show that bit. But the idea would be that once you've connected it and go through, just like you've shown on your end, it will bring the data through and everything else, and you'll get a line here, QB import, and it just basically brings it in as a TB for you. Now, the big downside here is it's not two-way connection. So if you make any adjustments here, you'll have to do an opening balance adjustment and do it like you would see. And B, the other issue here is this isn't a live connection. So once you've made that connection once, if you want to refresh it, you're going to delete this TB and start again, and kind of build it up from there. And the TB in Capium's terminology, the TB is basically that period. So you'd have to delete that whole period, start that period again to refresh it and bring it in. One thing they have improved on, like you said, though, was when you go from 1 year to the next, and it only came into play 2 months ago. But now when you go from one period to the next, you do get to save your mapping. So it will bring in the mapping from before. But then the idea is once you've got that QBO import, that's your base, and then you go through and you put in whatever you need to put in afterwards to get that figure to work and to move forward. So yeah, we'll score it later, but I've not got much of a hope for the integration against that one. So what about favorite feature, Ash? What's your favorite feature of TaxFiler?
I suppose my favorite feature has really just got to be the QuickBooks integration, because you can use it completely standalone. You can create a set of accounts and just key in the numbers from a TB. You can actually import a CSV file from a TB if you want. So those features are there. But just the fact that it has a QuickBooks integration at all, that is my favorite. I wouldn't use it otherwise. That was the whole purpose of using it. And as you said, Aaron, for probably 3 years, it was exclusively QuickBooks. I think they had some sort of exclusivity contract with Intuit, and I think, yeah, like you said, I think at the time, because I was introduced to Tax Filer by a chap that used to work at Intuit.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
And it was from I tested it, before tested Tax Filer before it was really released, when it was sort of in beta. I was sort of testing again. So I always thought that Intuit would buy it. That sort of never happened.
Yeah.
That is really my favourite feature for me personally. It does lots of other things, I'm sure, but that's what I mainly use it for, or have done.
No, I think you're right. I think it's so impressive. It's one of those, and it's one of those software I always go back to as how it's like no bias here, but like NetTracker, in the fact that you have that proper two-way integration. It's not just a connect it and it maybe talk to one another, but the fact that you can update both ways, I think that's really important with software these days, and more that we see of that, I think that's really important. And the fact that the accounting production software can actually go on there and do it is really good. My favorite feature of Capium, though, for me, is always going to be the fact that it does absolutely everything. It's got your payroll solution, it's got your bookkeeping, it's got corporation tax, it's got company secretarial now. It's got so much that you can do with it. Practice management solution, a lot. You can do your engagement letters through it. You can do your accounts anti-money laundering through it as well. It's designed to be a full practice solution. It's basically trying to take what was great about Iris and having the whole suite of all the Iris solutions and trying to build up a package from there. So that's where we've found a lot of strength, and the fact that they all then talk to one another brings in a lot of great kind of benefits there, and just makes running your kind of practice that little bit more smoother and a little bit more easy to kind of go forward. So for me, that's where I find the biggest benefit of it was, and the fact that from a customization point of view, I've been able to customize it to my heart's content. So I'm happy with that. Okay, what's the support been like for you, Ash?
So again, I've not had to use the support very much, to be honest. So early days, I might have had to ask them a couple of things, more probably of the moan. Why do my mappings keep getting forgotten about?
Yeah.
But actually, I did contact them only a couple of days ago to say I think I'm on the wrong pricing structure, because I think I'm paying too much, basically. I don't really have that many clients. It's really me, and my wife, and a few friends that I might help out. So they came back very, very quickly, within less than an hour. And then I sort of just basically had to run a report, send them a screenshot, and they've adjusted my pricing. So I can't really complain. They were very, very quick. And they were, I've not had to contact them for years to ask them anything. It is sort of like email support. I'm not sure if there was a phone number or not. Can't remember. I don't remember seeing one actually, but yeah, they're pretty good.
Brilliant. That's always good to hear, isn't it? Especially when it's your statutory accounts. There's one thing you don't want to go through. The support at Capium is absolutely stellar. You send a ticket in, you've got an opportunity to see in your practice management what tickets are outstanding, what stages they're at. They'll phone you straight away as soon as they receive that ticket. If there's something that can be resolved straight away. If not, they'll give you a bit of an update on it. And the other day, there was a problem with the software where it wasn't responding as well as it should do. And it was on a VAT filing day, it was an end of the month. So it was a filing of a day for taxes and accounts and tax. And they just said, right, well, we're going to stay open for another X amount of time for extended support period. And I was actually in that support extended period because I was drastically trying to get this particular account signed and sent over. So yeah, can't tell them, it can't be thingy with them enough. I think it's been really, really good. And also the bits I've asked for and requested for, like the integration with QuickBooks and the integration with other software, and the fact that they're constantly looking to bring in new features and stuff, is really, really good. So yeah, no, highly recommend their support. I think it's gone really, really well. And then finally, Ash, you mentioned already about price, but go on, what's the price point for
all right, I'll share my screen because I've just gone straight to the pricing page within Tax Filer.
Yeah.
So
shall we do pre and post Iris? I don't know if there is a huge difference, but
well, when I look back through my billing, and when I started using Tax Filer, I was on £10 a month. And again, so if you are, a very small business and you don't have that many clients, £10 a month, it's nothing. I mean, you're talking 120 quid a year. You will save that in creating one set of accounts.
Easily.
It's a no-brainer from me. And then if you've got 30 clients, and so you're moving up a little bit. It's only 22 quid a month. Again, that's single user, and then you can have unlimited clients for an extra tenner. Again, that's per, and then if you've got more users, you're having to pay a little bit more for additional users. But if for bookkeepers, accountants that are in a similar position to me, when it's just you, it is ideal, because if you don't need all of the team stuff, and there are some team things, and there is a sort of a diary thing in there now where you can sort of make sure that you're up to date with your workload and that sort of thing. But if you don't need too much in the whole team thing, it's perfect, because you can literally just open it up. You know what job you got to do. You can just get on and do it. And the cost of it, it's nothing. It's less. When you think of what a QuickBooks subscription is, I know you're getting cheaper as an accountant, but if you had someone that was just paying a box standard QuickBooks subscription, which could be nearly 30 quid a month now, or the plus one is around that. But not being able to create accounts and tax returns for unlimited clients for that money,
it's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah.
That is it's pretty good value, I've got to say. So
definitely.
That's the Tax Filer pricing. Commissions are welcome, Tax Filer. I've got a caveat here. I am not employed or receive any endorsements from Tax Filer. This is purely my little take on it. Okay, it's just in case anyone starts.
Maybe we should start with that one.
About me, I'm sure he's on the take. I'm sure he's receiving some sort of backhander. I am not. I want to put that one in there.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
it's crazy, I think, with how priced that, or how competitively priced that was. It's from day one, isn't it? And I know as soon as Iris was involved, everyone's kind of joke was the fact that the prices are going to triple, or they'll put a 0 on the end of each one of those numbers and be done with it. But in fairness, they haven't, have they? I mean, they've kept them quite consistent. They've got a little bit, haven't they, by probably more inflation than anything else, but there's been no massive price hike, has they? So yeah, it's fair play. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a great piece of software, or price point for that one. For me then, on the pricing element of it, it is far more complicated in the Capian world, and it is more expensive. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I find it more than justifiable in terms of what you get out of it. But just to give you kind of an insight, if you're going to go for the full suite, so remember that's having absolutely everything, it does start £115 per £115 plus VAT, which works out at £1.15 per client if you've got all of them. And that's up to 100 clients, then 300, then 500. And if you jump into the modules, you get a bit more of an idea of how much they cost. So kind of the equivalent to yours really was that accounts production at £15, but then you'd probably need self-assessment and you'd probably need corporation tax as well. So £45 minimum by looks of it in terms of being able to have that kind of comparison to there. So we're not a million miles out, and that is up to 100 clients. But the one difference, I suppose, on this pricing point to what you were saying there is this is for unlimited amount of users. So it doesn't matter how many users you have, you're always going to be paying the same going forward. So yeah, highly recommend it on that one. And yeah, I am not employed by Capium either, so I can't have that one. But I do have an affiliate link with them. So yeah, take that as a pinch of salt on that one. So yeah, pretty much that's all I've got to say. So right, let's go scores on the doors. And what we'll do is we'll go down the list of them and we'll decide which one got the kind of point, if you like, knockout style, and see who walks away with the prize. I think I've figured out who's going to win now, but we'll see. We'll see if I was right or wrong. Yeah, I think some of them. Yeah. So first impressions, what would you say then is your kind of winner of that one?
Well, I've never seen Capium before. Capium. I would probably, say Capium would win on aesthetic looks. If you want to look at it from that screen, the user interface, it looks a bit nicer.
Yeah, and I would say as well, just to kind of point that there as well, there is an update coming that I've been involved in terms of kind of helping them kind of steer it and looking and giving beta access and all that lot, and they are pushing it to a more cleaner look as well. So that is definitely on there. So maybe just one first round to Capium on that one. Ease of use, so I think we've got a clear winner on this one, haven't we, Ash? What do you say?
Ease of use. Well, for me, so I've never used Capium, but Tax Filer just is it's very, very easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've used both, and Tax Filer absolutely nails it in terms of they have that workflow, don't they? You saw there how even the fact that at the top there was that kind of almost like journey of import, then do some changes and do that, and then all the way to submit. Yeah, I mean, just that alone is it is a very, very intuitive way of doing it. It's really how it should be done. I think these days, I think that's how it is. And as I said with Capium, once you've got your head around that first workflow, you'll be fine and you'll move it on. But that first workflow is an odd one. It's a strange way of doing things, but it works in the end. So it gets it through. So definitely a point there to Tax Filer. Okay, we definitely know who's going to win this one as well. Integration with QuickBooks Online.
Well, I think that one has got to go to Tax Filer. I think it has a slightly unfair advantage that it was probably originally built for it. Yeah. I mean, I'll still say it's one of the best examples of integration with QuickBooks Online. It is, it's that good, isn't it? It just knows what it's doing. It has that two-way integration. Like you said, it probably is that unfair advantage that it was built primarily to go to QuickBooks Online. But yeah, no brainer. And it reminds me because it's quite interesting with Iris acquiring them, because I remember when there was a big thing. In fact, it was on the webinar, wasn't it? We used to do the webinar for Intuit for apps. And I remember, because of the kind of hoo-ha about it, but Iris was connecting with QuickBooks. And it was like, all right, this is the game changer. And pretty much the same workflow I've just shown you there on Capium, in terms of you just import the data. It's got a bit of mapping cleverness, but that's as far as it really goes. That's kind of been the set for most accounts production software, isn't it? You send your data to the software, but then it kind of finishes there. Well, what I really like about Tax Filer, it takes it that next step forward. You can refresh when you want. You can bring that data in. I think for a modern way of doing accounts production, I think that's definitely the route that most people should be going. So yeah, clear winner on that one. What about fave feature then? It's an odd one to or it's going to be a difficult one, I think, to point on this one. But what would be your kind of who would you say should take the crown on that one? I think that probably the Capium has got more features full stop in a way, because what you've got with tax filer, does what it says on the tin, files tax returns. You create a client, you put their details in, you create accounts, and you file the tax. That was really what it is mainly built for.
Yeah.
So there's not really the companies, because I was having a dig around, and I couldn't find that they've added company secretarial stuff as such. Perhaps they're thinking, well, if you really want company secretarial stuff, you ought to have the full Iris package.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
All of that's in Iris. So if you're not that bigger in a firm, you stick with tax filer. If you need more, you'd have to go down the Iris route, I guess.
Yeah,
stick with it. Their company.
I think you're right,
because if you think about it from Iris's point of view, if they put too much stuff into tax filer, you can send your confirmation statements and this. People think, well, what do I need Iris? What exactly do I need?
You're cannibalizing your sales, aren't you?
£1,000 a month for.
Yeah.
When I can do all of this. Yeah, because it's not cheap, is it, Iris?
No. And it's not cloud either.
Yeah, I don't know what the prices are these days, but I know it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's. I think you're about right with your first estimation, and it's not cloud. You don't get that functionality, so you're right. You'll just cannibalize your Iris sales, won't you? So, yeah, I can kind of see that. I was thinking that surely the integration with QuickBooks and how strong it is was the fave feature, and that should work. But then I realized actually that's just that's round 3, so can't get it twice. So okay, maybe Capium can win that one, and all credit to them though. Like their suite of services have just got better and better and better with time, and it for me it's that confidence that I can take on a client and I can do them. The only one thing that it doesn't do, and I know it's the same with tax filer, and I know it's a solution I think we need to find really for QuickBooks users or any cloud users, is charity accounts still not being looked after. So, and I know tax filer doesn't do charity accounts either, do they? So,
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think they might do charities now.
Oh, do they? Oh, okay.
I'm just having.
Because that could be an absolute game changer. Because it would be nice to be able to support the charity element.
No, perhaps I've got the client types are individuals, partnership, trust, company.
Yeah, trust is there, isn't it? Yeah. Which we can do trust over at Capium, but not
really charities.
Not charities, which is a shame. And I think there's definitely a market there for a more sophisticated element for charities. And then finally 2 more, isn't there? So support.
Well, I think I'll have to give that one to Capium. What you just said, Aaron, it's like they went above and beyond to help you on that day. I think tax filer, if I'd sent them an email, it would have been, at sort of 6 o'clock or obviously the office is now closed. And we can't get back to you.
Tough luck.
Yeah. I mean, it could be wrong. I could be wrong there, but because obviously I've not really had to contact them. But just from what you've said, I think you've got the edge on that. And
then, I would definitely agree with that. And then I think price. There's only one victor there, isn't it? It's a tax filer.
Yeah, I think tax
incredible
filer,
price.
I suppose we've got to give tax filer the price. If you're a sole trader,
but even at a team, I don't think
if you sort of start having more employees, then from your point of view, your price isn't really going to change. Whereas on tax filer, all of a sudden it hikes up.
That is true, but there's still 10 employees, isn't it? At that price point, I think wasn't it? At that £200 odd.
213, 10 users, £213 a month. 10 users,
yeah. And is that unlimited? That's unlimited clients as well, isn't it?
That's unlimited clients for 10 users.
Yeah. So comparing that to Capium, you still pay more for Capium. So I think.
it looks like it's a draw, Aaron.
I know. I just really realised that 6 was the worst number we could have picked on.
Well, actually, that makes it nice and friendly, doesn't it? Because we're not favouring one over the other.
Not a cop out. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, it's not a cop out. It's an even draw.
It is, and we'll fly the flag then to say that both of them deserve your consideration. And I'm definitely going to be doing a video on Capium soon. I think it's a great piece of solution, and I might just jump in and do a tax filer one as well as comparison, because it does seem to still hold up. I was always impressed with it from day one. I think it's still there. So yes, very, very impressed. Okay, then. So just catching up on any of the comments that we missed. Great bit of news here. We'll make sure we bring that into next week or next month, should I say, is element. We'll make sure we give you any news we can. QuickBooks, what they call the smaller ones, they've been announced, haven't they? In fact, they're next month, aren't they?
Oh, the Get Connected event.
These are the smaller ones, yeah. The regional, or used to be regional, they're not going to be regional this year, are they? They have been announced. In fact, that might even be before our next event. I'm thinking about it. Is it this month? So I'm hoping they'll release some new stuff. I'll tell you what, though, if they do, we'll talk off air, but we might do a impromptu video if they do, impromptu QuickBooks Labs if they do. So keep an eye out on the social channels, and we'll get back to you on that one and let you know. The small events are this month, and the big one is start of March. We've not heard yet if it's online or offline, but we will give you some more details. We know who to talk to about that one to try and get some info as much as we can, as much we're allowed to say, and everything else. But the smaller ones, it is this month then. Right. I thought it was. I've got it booked out. It's if they do announce anything, we will try and put something out on the social channels about what was announced and what that means for everyone. Here it is, 19th of October. There we are.
Yeah, there was one question there from Sylvia about importing clients from Tax Calc. It wasn't in the list of drop downs when you add a client. I didn't see it within there, just sort of through bookkeeping software. So I'm not sure if it's possible to actually bulk upload clients
from Tax Calc. Yeah,
if you wanted to swap over.
It is a good point, though, isn't it? And to be fair, though, I know Capium offer this, so it might be worthwhile talking to support. But they obviously they're very keen on making it a nice, swift, easy move from one software to another. So I know when we decided to move over to them, they were bent over backwards to get the databases in place and everything else. So I'm sure Tax Filer would do the same, wouldn't they? You would have imagined.
Yeah, possibly. It might be worth it, just a message to support. Depending on how many you've got. I mean, sometimes you think, well, I'll just add a client next time I need to create a new a new set of accounts, because then it literally just takes you a minute to put the name and address in.
Yeah.
If you work on it on that sort of way.
Yeah, and I suppose depending on how clean your QuickBooks data is, your previous year data could easily be brought in as well, can't it? So that's your advantage you've got with Tax Filer over Capium, because Capium, you could bring the data in, but it isn't as smooth as what Ash demonstrated there with bringing that data in with that wonderful two-way integration. And I think that's it, isn't it, Ash?
As for always, Aaron, we've been taught to find legs of a donkey. We've gone slightly over this time.
Apologies for that one.
But no, it's been good. I hope everyone sort of watching, listening, and sort of found some use from it.
Yeah, definitely. And let us know in the comments or in the social channels or however you want to comment to us if this format works for you. Should we bring one of these in every couple of months and stuff, and shall we have a little fight off like this? Me and Ash quite enjoy doing a bit of research and trying to find solutions for issues, basically, and trying to find two competing software and see which one wins, all in good fun. So Ash, thank you, and also thank you for everyone for the questions. If you're listening via a podcast, don't forget to follow on Facebook so you can join us live on our future episodes or on our YouTube channels. Which remind me, Ash, when are we back?
We shall be back on Wednesday, 3rd of November, being the first Wednesday of November.
I love it. I love it. And do keep an eye out for impromptu stream as well. If something major is announced over at QuickBooks Connect, I'm sure we can drag each other to go and do a nice little impromptu stream as well. But we will keep you informed on the socials if that is the case. Finally, Ash, what have you got planned for this week? Any videos? Are you back on the video form yet? Or now the book's done and dusted? What's next?
Not yet. So I shall be reaching out to one or two people for possibly reviewing the book prior to it being publicly released on Amazon. So check your inboxes, people, because there could be a little begging letter coming through. Please review my book, and you'll get a free proper book in the post if you review it. Signed,
obviously, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure I could get a pen out and sign it if you want.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. So for me, video wise, I have just recorded and will release an update to the mobile app as well. And we've gone through most of it on here. So for you guys, it'll probably be a kind of rehash of what we just talked about. But I have also changed my my upload schedule as well. And I'd really love to get some like information about it as well, or some feedback, should I say. So I've started to do every Tuesday as normal. I will keep on my QuickBooks and tips and tricks and all that lot and make sure they're being uploaded on a regular Tuesday slot as normal. But I've also added or started to add more content on day in the life of, so more kind of vlogs and behind the scenes and that sort of stuff. And they are aiming to come out on every other Thursday, kind of Thursday ad hoc sort of idea as well. So yeah, do kind of give that a watch, see what you think of it, see if it's worthwhile. But we did one already on day in the life of a QuickBooks trainer, down the life of a accounts practice manager, and also I've just recently done one on investments as well, and kind of day in the life of an investor as well. So trying to show all my different hats and trying to make a bit of content around that one. So yeah, it'd be great to get some feedback if that works, doesn't work, and everything else that goes with it. And with that, yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? I think, we, like you said, we tore the legs off a hind donkey, and yeah, maybe we should look to wrap this up. So, Ash, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you, everybody, for coming along for today's show. We look forward to see you in a month's time, or maybe sooner, depending on what gets announced at QuickBooks. So hopefully we'll get to see you then. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.
Bye.